What is up, everybody? It's your host, Dadbod here, and hope you are having a fantastic day. Welcome back to Bloodborne. In the last episode, we made our way to the abandoned old workshop, which, if you remember, looked strikingly similar to this here hunter's dream. We also delved further into the cathedral ward, and we unlocked the gates that were previously blocking our way forward. We also encountered some NPCs and forwarded their quest lines as well. So, with that being said, let's go back to the Cathedral Ward and carry forward with the game. So we're going to go back to this Cathedral Ward lamp. And now that we've reloaded the game, so to speak, or reloaded the area at least, those NPCs that we talked to in the last episode that we told to come here to Untitled Chapter are going to be available to speak with us. So we will see what they have to say. These loading screens are long. Okay, here we go. So this is the Woman of the Night that we talked to in the last episode. So if you remember, we in the very end of the last episode, we talked to Adela the nun, and she offered us a blood vial. We did not accept it. The Lady of the Night will also offer us a blood vial. Let's trigger her dialogue.
Oh, hello, dear. You weren't lying. This is a safe place. Thank you. I'm in your debt. I'd like to tender my thanks, but I haven't much to offer. All I can give is my blood. But would you even take a whore's blood?
Okay, so she offers us her blood as well. The thing is much like Yosefka's blood vial, and the same thing with Adela the nun's blood vial, is this is a blood vial that we equip in our inventory to our quick use item toolbox, and we can use it as an item rather than as a regular blood vial. The thing is if you take her blood, I believe 3 times, so if you take it and use it, you can come back for more. If you take it 3 times, you'll notice the nun over there, once we started talking to the Woman of the Night, she kind of glanced our general direction in a not so friendly way. You can tell that she's not too fond of the Woman of the Night, and it's not hard to imagine why. The thing is, if you take the Woman of the Night's blood 3 times, I believe it is, then the nun will actually murder her. The nun will murder the Woman of the Night. If you remember from my last video, I mentioned that if you see the Woman of the Night's quest line all the way through to the end, we will get one of those 1/3 umbilical cords. There's actually 4 of them in the game, so if you lose one of them, all is not lost. But of course, in this playthrough, we do want to show you this NPC's quest all the way to the end, so we're not going to even accept her blood at all. I don't want to risk anything like that happening, so we're going to refuse.
Yes, I see. I suppose that's natural. If you ever change your mind, you know where I'll be.
Alright, so actually let's go over here and let's get Adela's blood. It's not bad to have.
Have you renewed thoughts on...
Yes, I have. I'll receive your blood treatment.
Now. Take my blood.
Okay, so we got the blood of Adela. Let's check it out. As you see, much like Yosefka's blood vial, it is another item. This one restores your HP and then equips kind of a regen effect on you that takes place for a period of time. So it is quite useful to use if you're in a pinch, especially against a boss or something like that. It can restore your health and then keep your health going if you take a few more hits. So not bad. And then here is the other NPC. This is the Skeptic.
Ah, you. The swindling off-comer. Did you really think that'd work? There's no fooling me. Now, off with you. You heard me. Go away. I can't stand the stench of your lying breath. I'll spare you one nugget of advice. Beware the Lady of the Night. I can see it in her eyes. She deeply resents the young saint. She hears people whisper. She knows what people think of her. Yes. She despises the saint for having what she doesn't. Bloody wench, they should have moved her on ages ago.
Okay, so as he implied, it's not just the nun that dislikes the Lady of the Night. The Lady of the Night is not like the nun either, and it's, you know, not hard to imagine why that could possibly be. You know, I guess you could say that between the two there is a little bit of bad blood there. And, so, you know, this is Dad Bod Game Squad, so unfortunately, every now and then I have to throw a good old dad joke in there every once in a while. So now that we've opened up the two gates, the one that was blocking us from there, and then the other one that we could have opened with the Hunter's Chief Emblem, but we got from behind. Now that we've opened those two gates, that triggers the next phase in Eileen's quest line. So she's right here outside of Untitled Chapter waiting to speak with us.
Oh, hello there. Perfect timing. I must warn you not to go near the tomb below Untitled Chapel in the Cathedral Ward. Henryk, an old hunter, has gone mad. And he's my mark. Don't go near the tomb below Untitled Chapel in the Cathedral Ward. I have business there first.
All right, so she told us not to go there, so naturally, that is exactly what we're going to do. Now, your first instinct would be to warp there, and in order to warp there, you're going to have to go to this lamp, go to the Hunter's Dream, and then try to warp to the graveyard where we fought Father Gascoigne, because that's where she's telling us not to go. However, when you get to the Hunter's Dream, you'll find out that lamp is no longer active, so you cannot warp directly there, so the only way to get there is to go the old-fashioned way and walk. So she mentioned a guy named Henryk. As it turns out, Henryk is Father Gascoigne's old hunting partner. He's quite a bit older than Father Gascoigne. In fact, it is speculated that he is Father Gascoigne's father-in-law, and that he's his wife's father. So Henryk is sometimes referred to as the grandfather of the little girl that we encountered earlier, who was Gascoigne's daughter. So Henryk, unfortunately, much like Gascoigne, has gone mad, so he has to be dealt with. This is not an official boss battle. In fact, this is completely optional. But Henryk is hostile to us at this point in time, and you can see his yellow robe kind of down there between the tree branches. If you approach him this way, you can actually sneak up behind him and get a good old visceral attack on him. Some things that I want to point out before we start the fight is that once you engage him, Eileen is going to join the fight. Now, several things can go wrong here. Is that, number one, you could die because Henryk is very powerful. He has a saw cleaver, much like ourselves. Also, Eileen can die. If Eileen takes enough damage, she herself will die, and that ends her quest line. She will no longer be accessible for the rest of the game, and we do not want that either. The third thing that can go wrong is Eileen is not immune to friendly fire from us. So if we're not careful, we can actually attack her as well, and if we attack her enough times and do enough damage to her, she will become hostile to us for the rest of the game, and that also ruins the rest of her quest line. So we don't want that to happen either. So make sure that we stay alive, make sure Eileen stays alive, and make sure that we don't attack Eileen. And now if you are sneaky, you can get behind him and do a backstab, charge attack, visceral attack. Also, he is weak to poison. So if you hit him with 2 or 3 poison knives, he will get poison status, and that will not drain all of his HP, but it will be useful during the fight. I'm not going to do that because that'll aggro him, I believe, and I want to go ahead and get the backstab to start the fight off. And so just to add a little bit more oomph to the backstab charge attack, I'm going to equip my fire paper and activate it, and let's get this thing going. Alright, just be very careful, just hug this little statue here, get right behind him, lock on. He's never friendly, there's no way to befriend him, so he will always be hostile. There we go. Make sure not to get caught up on these tombstones, because you'll get stuck and he'll get some free hits on you, and that's not good either. His gun is very powerful as well. Alright. So, Eileen will be joining us anytime now. Make sure that you don't... There she is. So it's actually good to double team him. Eileen does have... Oh, I just hit her accidentally, but she's not hostile. Let's let her get some damage on him while we heal. She's almost got him. Ooh, he's doing some damage though. Let's get behind him and take him down. Okay. You'll notice we did hit Eileen a couple times, so she doesn't become hostile instantly, fortunately. But if you do hit her enough, she will become hostile, so just be careful. So we got the air rune. Let's check that out, see what that does for us. More blood echoes from visceral attacks. So if you use the air rune, if you have that equipped, which we can't equip it yet, you will receive more blood echoes than normal if you kill the enemy by way of a visceral attack. All right, let's talk to Eileen. Let's see what she has to say to us.
That wasn't necessary of you, but you have my thanks. We made it with our lives. You're not bad at all. You must have killed Gascoigne as well, then. He was falling apart, I'm sure it had to be done. But try to keep your hands clean. A hunter should hunt beasts. Leave the hunting of hunters to me. Try to keep leaving.
Alright, so she gave us a couple gestures there, and we got some blood echoes for our trouble. So as I said, this is completely optional. However, if you do not take care of Henryk, even though Eileen tells you not to come here, if you do not engage in this fight, then Eileen's quest line will kind of deviate from what we want, and she will become hostile to us eventually. So you have to do this if you want to kind of get the full force of Eileen's quest line here. Alright, so let's go back to the Cathedral Ward, and I mentioned in the last episode that we were kind of close to another boss, so we're going to go on and engage that boss. That boss's name is Vicar Amelia, and she is another beast-like boss, much like the Cleric Beast. So our strategy against her is going to be very similar to our strategy against the Cleric Beast. So the best way to get over there at this point is going to be to take our little shortcut that we unlocked over here, go up these stairs. There's going to be a little corner that we did not explore before that we're going to explore now. I'm just going to run by these guys. I don't need to fight them again. So if you go up these stairs, we have an item over here. Thick Cold Blood Tier 5. And up there we have another one of these robed guys, but this one has a scythe. And you cannot sneak up on them. So the best way to deal with him is just going to be a charge attack. Oh, he missed, but we'll just do it. We got their attention as well. But you do not want to go over on that little platform, because that giant guy with the axe, you'll be in range of him. We're gonna take care of these guys with a parry. You'll notice I switched back to my just regular sword version of Bloodwigs, because if you have it in the sheath, it is two-handed and you cannot fire your pistol, your firearm with it equipped. So, fighting this guy... Oh, there's another dude with the lantern. Let's let him get over to us. We don't want to fight... We want to fight giant axe dude and lantern guy at the same time. That is for sure. But we'll go on and do a charge attack here. Do a little bit of damage. And I don't think he's going to follow us all the way down the stairs, but he is blocking the other guy from reaching us. So I guess we're just going to have to do what we can. Oh! We actually did trigger the visceral opportunity, but he's on the stairs and we can't really get to him cleanly, so we'll back away. I'm not sure how it is that you trigger the visceral on those guys, on the giants. It is not with your firearm. You cannot do it by shooting them and parrying their attack animation like you would anyone else. But it is possible. I'm just not sure what the trigger is. So we're going to get behind him, get a few whacks, and he's gone. Normally I'm able to fight all those guys one at a time, but it just so happens that when he was pursuing me down the stairs, he tripped up the other guy that was trying to get by him. But normally I am able to get these guys one at a time, and that's how I do recommend doing it if you can't pull it off. So there we got off the corpse, we got some extra blood vials. And over here we have that guy with the repeating pistol who was shooting at us in the last episode. I recommend sneaking up behind him and doing a charge attack. So right here we'll do a charge attack, and he's gone in one hit. Didn't even notice us. Perfect. And so, here we are. You'll see we were looking down the stairs that in the last episode we were looking up at, and I mentioned that the boss is that way, which that's exactly where we're going. So no need to go back down there. We've already done everything there is to do down there, so we're just going to make our way back up the stairs, and we're going to engage the next boss. This is going to be an action-packed episode. Get these guys by parries and viscerals. The other one's coming after us. Now, these guys are carrying wooden crosses. If they hit you with it, it's going to inflict frenzy buildup. You'll see where our frenzy meter is now increasing. And again, if you get frenzy, it is ugly. Frenzy will... Once that frenzy meter builds all the way up, once you get frenzied, it's an automatic loss of about 80% of your HP, and if you currently have less than 80% of your HP, it's an instant kill. Okay, so let's put our saw cleaver on. We're fighting another giant beast boss. Let's go through these doors to the Grand Cathedral of the Cathedral Ward. And so we're going to proceed forward very slowly. If you kind of stay behind Vicar Amelia before you trigger the cutscene, you'll hear her say some things first. She has some dialogue. And then once you move far enough forward, it triggers the cutscene where you'll actually fight her. So you'll see there's a lot of intricate stonework. This is indeed the Grand Cathedral. Pretty cool to look at if you want to take a closer look in your playthrough. Alright, so there she is. You can see her kind of kneeling before the altar. Let's...
Remain wary of the frailty of men. Their wills are weak, minds young. Were it not for fear, death would go unlamented. Seek the old blood. Let us pray, let us wish to partake in communion. Let us partake in communion and feast upon the old blood. Our thirst for blood satiates us. Soothes our fears. Seek the old blood. But beware, the frailty of men.
Okay, so that's kind of her dialogue just loops. And so she's talking about feast upon the old blood. You know, our thirst cannot be quenched for the old blood. She is Vicar Amelia, and once she looks very unassuming and harmless, but that's going to quickly change. Before we engage the fight, let's make sure we're properly equipped. I'm going to take all of these items off. I don't want any of this except for fire paper. And on here, if you remember, we got this numbing mist item, and this numbing mist, as I said, it interrupts an enemy from healing if they're trying to heal. Once you get the Vicar Amelia down to a certain HP, she will be able to heal. So we definitely want these on us so we can throw them at her to prevent her from healing, because it does make the fight way harder if you just let her heal up, because she does restore a pretty significant amount of her HP when she does heal. These in terms of using this item, it's very similar to how you would use a Molotov cocktail. It's a projectile, you throw it, and so we're going to have these equipped just to keep her from healing herself. And of course we're going to use our fire paper and our saw cleaver. She is a beast enemy. So all that being said, let's walk forward and trigger the cutscene. Ugh. Okay, so fighting Vicar Amelia is going to be very similar to how we approach the Cleric Beast. She's going to have a lot of swipe attacks that we can dodge through and get behind and do some damage. You see that's very similar to the Cleric Beast. She does have some other attacks, of course, that differentiates her from the Cleric Beast, like that swipe attack. She also has an AoE attack that's pretty nasty, but her swipe attacks, if you time them right, you can dodge right through them just as normal. see that jump attack that she has, very similar to the Cleric Beast. She also has a grab attack that's similar to the Cleric Beast. If she opens her arms, both of her arms up, beware, that's going to be her grab attack. So you see, that's the first time she actually hit us. We've been able to roll through all of her attacks to that point. So that where she puts her hands together in kind of a praying motion and slams into the ground, that's her AoE attack. You want to be out of the way of that. That is a nasty attack. All that being said, let's go on and engage the fight. I'm going to throw my fire paper on, and we're going to take this on and fight her just as we just described, much like the Cleric Beast. Alright, let's get behind her. That's your best way to go about it. Attack the legs. You can stagger her legs. She got some hits off on us. Let's make sure we heal up real quick. It was a little sloppy there when I first engaged her. There we go. Let's get behind her. Did some dodges. That actually triggered a visceral attack, so let's get around to her head and let's pull off the visceral. So if we do enough damage around her, I mean, eventually it'll stagger her, and, you know, as I mentioned, we're using that serrated weapon, the saw cleaver, and it's very good against the beast. There, she did her grab animation. You see how she opened up her arms. You definitely want to be away from her. You do not want to get grabbed by her. There she is. We can do another visceral. Oh, she got up too quickly. But again, just staying on her legs, staying behind her, is the best way to get her, much like the Cleric Beast. We're at a high enough level where we're able to do quite a bit of damage. We have a pretty big strength stat, and so she just transformed into another phase. Before I kill her, I actually want to show it what she looks like when she heals. When she kind of prays like that, you'll see her health is recovering, so we want to hit her with a numbing mist. We want to cut that off right then. Let's go on and get the kill. I just wanted to make sure that I showed you what it looks like when she heals, just so that you're prepared for it. I don't know why I have my torch equipped. I'm going to throw some fire paper back on, just make sure we get a nice clean kill here. Dodge through the attack, get behind her, wail on with the saw cleaver, and got a stun, and there she goes, just like that. I did make that look kind of easy. She is a fairly difficult boss. Some people do get hung up on her, but you know, I feel like if you've gotten through the Cleric Beast, if you've gotten this far, and if you've leveled up similarly to how I've been leveling up, you know, you should get her within the first few tries or so, without much trouble. Okay, so here we go. She gave us the gold pendant. Let's check that out. Okay. The gold pendant. Pendant of Vicar Amelia. Used to change into a blood gem which fortifies weapons. This pendant, passed down among the vicars who head the healing church, is a reminder of the cautionary adage, words that will open the gates of Byrgenwerth. Okay, so there is no other use to this item except to just use it to get the gold blood gem. And that is something that we're going to want to equip when we get back to the Hunter's Dream. So, of course, here we have a lamp. We can use that to warp, and we're going to use that to warp back to the Hunter's Dream just to do some leveling up. And here is a crucial step. So you have to go up and talk to this, or interact with this skull here, and if you have to do this to advance the story. So this is mandatory. So let's do this, and it'll trigger a cutscene.
Master Willem, I've come to bid you farewell.
Oh, I know. You think now to betray me.
No, but you will never listen. I tell you, I will not forget our adage.
We are born of the blood, made men by the blood, undone by the blood. Our eyes are yet to open.
Fear the old blood. I must take my leave.
By the gods, fear it, Laurence.
Okay. So that is actually one of the most important moments of the game. In that cutscene, we saw Laurence, who is the first vicar of the Healing Church, talking with Master Willem, who is the leader of Byrgenwerth. And we're going to go on and warp back to the Hunter's Dream, level up, and take care of some stuff. So what happened there was Laurence and Willem had a fundamental disagreement on where to go from there. So Master Willem of Bergenworth, he believed that the way to ascend to the level of the Great Ones was by way of insight, and so he believed that what you needed to do was to increase your insight, and that was the way to get better, to become a better human. Whereas Laurence was a believer in the old blood and using that blood to heal and to ascend to the higher level. Laurence believed that was the best way to go. However, Willem was very skeptical of the old blood and thought that there was, going to be some bad side effects if we started using that, and thought it was kind of the cheap way forward. So that fundamental disagreement led to the split between the scholars of Bergenworth and then Laurence, who then went on to start the Healing Church. And so you'll notice kind of our stats that we get to increase our power. We have blood echoes, and we also have insight. And so those two stats kind of represent the split that occurred between Master Willem and Laurence, the first vicar. So that is kind of what led to where we are now. That led to some people pursuing insight and some people pursuing blood. And then of course we see now some of the side effects of what Laurence's desire actually kind of led to, and it didn't end up being all good, unfortunately. That being said, I think I'm actually going to go on and cut this episode now. I know it's kind of short. It was somewhat of an action-packed episode, though. We did get Henryk, and then we also killed Vicar Amelia. But we're going to carry on through the game. We're going to make our way to some new areas in the next episode, and you will not want to miss it, so make sure that you stay tuned. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Also, be sure to join the squad by subscribing to the channel and leave a like and a comment if you wish. Thank you very much, and have a great day.